Ask yourself this question. Here's where my business comes from. Is that where my focus is? My time, energy, and effort. Is that where I'm looking to improve on things, or am I distracted and diluted with a bunch of other stuff? I want you to think about that. Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether it's Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed. Smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your coach, Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, in this episode, let's talk about growing your business. Let's talk about what works and kind of what doesn't. What produces results and what is just noise. So the reason why I decided to talk about this in this episode is I'm seeing this on a very large scale. A lot of advisors trying to do a lot of different things, right? So let me just kind of preface this conversation with a couple of comments. Number one, I've got clients that pretty much do everything that that's out there, from seminars to digital marketing, to social media, to COIs. I've seen clients do extremely well with those things, and I've seen clients fail at those things. So the second comment I'm going to make is everything works for someone. The question is what's going to work for you, all right? Just because some advisor out there is doing something, does that mean you need to match and mirror it and replicate it? No, not necessarily. So the reason why I think this is a really important topic is that I get everything crosses my desk, right? Because I've got clients that feed me, hey, what do you think of this program? What do you think of that program? And I'm not going to sit there and mention any specific program or company or firm. I think they all do certain things really well, and I think they all do certain things not so well, right? From that, and even in my world, our Magellan Network, my coaching program, what I do, it's not right for everybody, right? But I admit that readily, right? From that perspective. So I think a lot of times this industry suffers greatly from FOMO, F-O-M-O, which just really means fear of missing out. So in other words, if you're not doing it and your competitor is, that means you're at a disadvantage. So Simon Sinek, you can Google this, by the way. Simon Sinek did a talk recently about what is really a competitor. So let me ask you a question. Do you really have a competitor in this business? So in other words, are your fellow advisors, colleagues, or competitors, right? So in other words, for you to win, do they have to lose? Here's the answer. The answer is no. And why do I say that? Because every study that I've seen in the last 2 years has taught me one simple theme. There currently is not enough advisors, And by 2030, we'll be 100,000 advisors short of what we truly need as an industry to serve our clients. Now, some are going to say, but Joe, what about AI? Hey, that will assist us, but make no mistake. AI is going to be about information, right? And it's going to be about data, and it's going to be about intellectual information, if you will. It's not going to be about emotions. It's not going to be about connecting. Nobody's going to feel like, oh, my AI has my back, right? Like an advisor does. So I'm not worried about that. Right? So bottom line is we're looking at 100,000 advisors short. So, to me, if that's the case, then we should feel pretty good about what we're doing. But here's the challenge. With the FOMO thing, these companies, and again, I'm not going to mention any of them, they are excellent at preying on your insecurities. Your insecurities. So in other words, if you're not doing it and the person down the street is, that means you're at a loss. And there are no competitors. I mean, all of us, the way I look at it is there's so much opportunity out there. There's enough for everybody. There just is. I mean, you can't, let me rephrase that, because you can do anything you want. My recommendation is don't get caught up on what everybody else is doing and wondering about getting in the gap, as Dr. Ben Hardy would call it. There's plenty for everybody, right? So with that said, so if you operate under this premise, say, abundance mentality, right? There's so much opportunity out there. I don't need to worry about what everybody else is doing. Now let's have this conversation, which is what do I need to be doing? And sometimes the better question is, what do I need to stop doing? Okay? Case in point. A lot of times I see, and like I said, I've been at this now for 31 plus years, is that a lot of advisors will dabble with a lot of different things and they'll never master any of it. So they'll dabble with optimization, they'll dabble with some referral strategies, they'll dabble in the COI game, they'll dabble on LinkedIn, they'll dabble on Facebook or YouTube or whatever they're allowed to do, right? Networking. But they never really most advisors never really say, well, wait a second, like what really is working here? So if you've been at this thing for more than a year, let's just keep it that way, maybe 2 years. Here's some very simple market research to do. Number one, determine how many clients you have. Number two, where do they come from? That's it, right? So if you sit there and say, well, hey, and I'll just arbitrarily throw a number, hey, I've got 100 clients, and 80 came from client referrals, and the other 20 came from other centers of influence, right? CPAs, attorneys, so on and so forth. So of my 100, it's really broken down to two basic buckets, client referral bucket and COI bucket. But yet, I'm spending time on digital marketing. I'm spending time on LinkedIn. I'm buying leads, right? I'm doing all this other stuff. But when you look at really what produces the actual result, it's none of those things. Hypothetically, what you need to do is ask yourself this question, which is, if 80% of my business comes from client referrals, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm leaving no stone unturned. I'm absolutely optimizing. I'm absolutely maximizing everything. Where am I on a scale of 1 to 10? Right? Because if that's working, and let's say, just for a conversation here, you say, well, I kind of do it a little bit. I remind clients every once in a while. I give myself a 5 out of 10. Okay? Going from a 5 to an 8 is going to double, if not triple, your results. Because of focus and momentum. Conversely with COIs, and inside the COI box, here's what most advisors do. They'll try to talk to every CPA or every attorney out there and every this and every that. And I see this over and over again. Hey, what do we need to do to get better? And this is a very specific question. I want you to think about how you're going to answer this. Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. An advisor that came to me and we're doing a joint interview whether they should hire me, whether I want to work with them. And I say, tell me how you develop business. Tell me where your business comes from. He says, well, in typical, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I said, and he said, well, I've got some COIs. I've got a couple of CPAs or EAs. And I said, great. So I said, look, just out of curiosity, what do you think you need to do to get better at the COI game to really kind of make that a driver of your growth going forward? And he said what most advisors would say, which is, I need to go get more. Then I said, well, wait a second, hold, right? You said you have 2 or 3 now that refer you. Have you optimized those relationships? Have you really done everything you can do to deepen that relationship, to make it more functional, more profitable, produce more results, right? Like before you start, I'll use the term, before you start drilling more holes in the ground looking for oil, maybe what we need to do is take the holes we have already and make them the best they could possibly be, right? And this is the quandary most advisors have. Number one, you have limited resources, both time and money, and yet you want to do everything. If you would just check your ego for a minute and get rid of the FOMO conversation, you would realize what works. And whatever's not working, maybe you want to kill it, right? Do less. If your data indicates that, by and large, your business comes from client referrals and COIs, or maybe client referrals and a lead gen program, or doing seminars like, hey, these are the 2 things that really work for me. And everybody's about 2 things, and then maybe one kind of sort of works things. The 2 things you always want to have working for you are going to be client referrals and optimizing outside assets or new opportunities from current clients. 1A, 1B. Third one, most of you are going to pick COIs. Some of you may pick networking, which is fine. Some of you may pick seminars, which is fine. But unless you have a very large team that can delegate certain avenues to, you got to really be, it is way more economically rewarding to master a couple things than to dabble with many things. Why do we dabble with many things? Our ego, fear of missing out. That's all it really is. I used to go to a lot of conferences and invest a lot of money, go get a booth and speak. And most of these conferences, by the way, you have to pay to speak. It's pay to play. And, we did that a couple years ago. And when I looked at the time and money and all the investment, right? Yeah, it's nice when somebody comes, oh man, I loved your speech. I loved your talk. I loved your breakout session. I love. But if they don't sign up, if they don't do like, okay, that's nice, makes my ego feels good, right? Nothing for my business. You know where my business comes from? Primarily, 80% of my business comes from client referrals, member referrals. No, the other 20% comes from, which really shocked me, was this. My YouTube channel, my podcast, you'll find it, stuff like that. They subscribe to it, advisors do, and they kind of get to know who I am, how I operate, and they say, yeah, this is the kind of guy I want to talk to, right? It's the kind of coach I really want in my corner. So that's our focus. I've gone to a conference in 2 years. Ask me the next conference I'm going to go to. I might go to one just to see what it looks like, but it's not really an advisor conference. It's a conference of leaders in the advisor space. So we'll see. Now, but I'm going to go and check it out. I'm not going to go sponsor it. I'm not going to go get a booth. I'm not going to go speak at it. I'm just going to go as an attendee and check it out. And the only reason why I'm going to do that is I've got several of my clients who run large enterprises say you need to be there. So, okay, I'll check it out. But everything else is like noise, right? Like you have to understand what truly produces results for you and what else is noise. And I'm telling you, a lot of you are doing stuff because. Now, with that said, I do have clients that do pay to be a part of these lead gen programs that we all hear about, and some are good. Look, they all kind of work and they don't work simultaneously because it depends on if I hire an internet lead gen tool company, right? And we're not getting into names. It doesn't matter. There's several of them. But I am not organized. I am overwhelmed. I am busy. You'll never be effective with it. I've got clients that, and I'll share this, without names. I've got a couple clients, probably about 4 or 5, that use these various lead gen companies, right, to produce opportunities. And my top one last year, and they have a team. They're like a real well-oiled machine. I think they raised $27 or $28 million last year. New clients from that program. Very lucrative for them. We're going to scale that. Why? Because it works, right? Conversely, I have another client who said, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm like, okay, not my recommendation, but your gig. Go for it. Totally failed at it. Why? Not well-oiled machine. Not organized. Not systematized. Couldn't produce. Couldn't get it to happen. Big flame out, right? Did it for 3-4 months. Nothing happened. That's what I'm saying. Everything works for somebody. What's going to work for you? If you're going to do these external lead gen programs, you got to have bandwidth, capabilities, staff, systems, organization. Then your odds of success go up a lot. If you're looking for a solution to a problem being, I'm not getting enough clients, or I'm not growing fast enough, let me stroke a check and solve my problem. My 31-year plus experience, stroking a check does not solve problems in this business. Usually they make them worse. So if you're going to go and fork out your hard-earned cash to hire a third party to help you grow, ask yourself the following questions. Number 1, am I willing to commit to this for 6 to 12 months? Do I have the budget for that? Number 2, do I have the systems and organization to do it? Number 3, am I going to enjoy it? So in other words, it fits in my wheelhouse. And I'll give you a great case in point. I've had advisors come to me in my career and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing seminars. Okay. How do you feel about public speaking? Oh, I hate it. Then what makes you think paying money to get in front of a room full of strangers is a good idea? What makes you think that? Right? But people do it, right? Or I have an advisor, John, I want to really work on the COI, my COI game. I said, great, man. Well, hey, how do you feel about CPAs and attorneys? Oh, I hate them. They think they're better than us, da-da-da. Well, what kind of rapport are you going to build with that? How are you going to go and build rapport with another professional if you underlyingly resent them? How's that supposed to work? Look, don't take my word for it. Go look at your own data. Then ask yourself this question. Here's where my business comes from. Is that where my focus is? My time, energy, and effort. Is that where I'm looking to improve on things, or am I distracted and diluted with a bunch of other stuff? I want you to think about that. All right? I'm telling you, you want to scale your business? Don't try to do everything. Be great at a couple things and do that over and over and over again, and block out the noise and forget about everything else and just go for it. You don't have to thank me. You'll be grateful to yourself that you took this advice and went ahead and deployed this, okay? And again, I'm not anti anything. I'm just telling you what I see works, okay? With that said, thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. We'd love a like, subscribe, some feedback on whatever platform you're consuming my content on. And if you found this episode valuable, please forward it to a couple friends in the game. And with that, I will see you all again next week. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game, both personally and professionally.